In this video, you will learn how to solve the measure of some angles. In the diagram below, angle WXZ is a right angle if the measure of angle WXV is 11 more than 3 times angle WXY, and the measure of angle YXV is equal to 139. Find the measure of YXZ. So it is given here that angle WXZ, this one, is a right angle. Therefore, the measure of angle WXZ is equal to 90 degrees, since a right angle measures 90 degrees. And then we have here a mathematical sentence that we need to write into a mathematical equation. It says that the measure of angle WXV is 11 more than 3 times WXY, 3 times the angle, the measure of angle WXY. So that is 11 more than 3 times. And then the measure of angle YXV is equal to 139 degrees. Then we need to find the measure of angle YXZ. So this is YXV, this one. So this one is 139 degrees. So from this, we can write an equation which means that the measure of angle YXV is just equal to the sum of the measure of WXY in this angle WXV. So measure of angle YXV is equal to the measure of angle WXY plus the measure of angle WXV. And it's given here that the measure of angle YXV is 139. We just plug that in here. Equals the measure of angle WXY. And we're also given that the measure of angle WXV is 11 more than 3 times the measure of WXY. So we can write that here. 3 times the measure of angle WXY plus 11. Now we can group like terms. So we have here WXY and WXY. 1 plus 3, so that is 4. And then we subtract 11 from 139. So this is 4 times the measure of WXY. This is just 128 equals 4 times the measure of WXY. Then we divide both sides by 4. This cancels out. Therefore, we get the measure of angle WXY, or 100, which is 128 over 4, or it is just equal to 32 degrees. Now we already have the measure of angle WXY, and that is 32 degrees. And we can now solve for the measure of this angle YXZ. Right. Since angle WXZ is a right angle, and the measure of angle WXY or the sum of the measure of WXY and YXZ is equal to WXZ, which is equal to 90 degrees. So we can write an equation from that. So the measure of angle WXZ is equal to the measure of angle WXY plus the measure of angle YXZ. Then we can solve for the measure of angle YXZ, which is just equal to the measure of WXZ minus the measure of WXY. We knew that the measure of WXZ is 90 degrees since it is a right angle. Then we got the measure of WXY, which is 32. So we subtract that one. Therefore, the measure of angle YXZ is equal to 90 degrees minus 32 degrees, which is just equal to 58 degrees. Therefore, this one measures 58 degrees. Now let's solve another problem. If KM bisects angle JKL, and the measure of angle JKL, this one, is 92 degrees, and the measure of angle MKL, this one, is 5x plus 1. Find the value of x. Alright, so it's given here that KM, segment KM, bisects angle JKL. So we can conclude that angle JKM is just equal to angle MKL. And it's also given here that angle JKL is equal to 92 degrees, and the measure of angle MKL is equal to 5x plus 1. Alright, since angle JKL is equal to 92 degrees, therefore the measure of angle of each of the bisected angles, angle JKM and angle MKL, they are just equal, is just 92 degrees divided by 2. So that is half. So this is just equal to 46 degrees. So each of this one is 46 degrees, and this one is also 46 degrees. And it's also given here that the measure of MKL is equal to 5x plus 1. So we can just plug in the value of angle MKL. So measure of angle MKL is equal to 5x plus 1. And angle MKL is also equal to 46 degrees. So we just plug in 46 degrees here, equals 5x plus 1. Now we can solve for the value of x. We subtract 1 from both sides. So this is just 45 equals 5x. Divide 5. We divide both sides by 5. Therefore, x is equal to 9. So this is the value of x. Now let's solve another one. If segment EF bisects angle AED, and the measure of AEF is equal to 4x plus 3 degrees, and the measure of FED is equal to 7x minus 33 degrees, find the measure of angle CEV. So we're given here angle AEF. This one is 4x plus 3. Then FED is 7x minus 33. Then it says that EF, okay, EF bisects angle AED. So from this one, we can conclude that angle AEF is equal to angle FED. So the measure of angle AEF is just equal to the measure of angle FED. Since we're given the values of angles AEF and FED, we can just plug in here. Okay, so that is 4x plus 3 equals 7x minus 33. And now we can solve for the value of x. So we subtract 7x from both sides. This is 4x minus 7x is negative 3x plus 3 equals negative 33. Then we subtract 3 from both sides. So we have negative 3x equals negative 36. Then we divide both sides by negative 3. Therefore, x is just equal to 12. Now we already have the value of x. So we can solve for either angle AEF or angle FED. So let's solve the measure of angle AEF. And this is just 4x plus 3. And we plug in the value of x, which is 12. So this is 4 times 12 plus 3. That is 48 plus 3. That is 51 degrees. Therefore, this is 51 degrees. And since EF bisects AED, so angle AEF is just equal to angle FED. So this is also 51 degrees. So angle AED, this one, the whole thing, the measure of that is just equal to 51 plus 51, which is just 102 degrees. But take note that we are asked to find the measure of CEB, this one. Since AED here, angle AED and angle CEB, they are vertical angles. Therefore, the measure of, I should have, let me delete this. Okay. Since angle AED and angle CEB are vertical angles, then the measure of angle AED or angle AED is congruent or equal or congruent to angle CEB. Therefore, the measure of angle AED is just equal to the measure of angle CEB, which is just 102 degrees. So this is now the measure of angle CEB.